All right, hey everybody. So in the last, I don't know, year and a half or so, Yahoo has completely changed their website and kind of messed up the way that you download historical data from their server. And so what used to happen is you could go to download data and copy the link address, and then import it directly into Excel, so that you can just automatically pull in data whenever you want. Where's that? There we go. But they've changed the way that they do that now. So if you look up here on the URL, you still have the quote, but they have like a period number and they have interval, and they changed it. And when you try to download, you do copy link address. And if you go look at what the URL is when you copy it, it's not a CSV file like it used to be. And so it's a pain in the butt to try to download from Yahoo now. And the reason they did that was because people who pull remotely from, if you're just in Excel and you hit a button to pull remote data, then you're not creating traffic for Yahoo's website, and so they make less money because of that. And so they decided to try to cut that out, because it used to be that Yahoo was the number one source for stock market data. So what you can do now is just get rid of Yahoo, because they suck now, and go to Google and use Google's data instead. And it's actually kind of hard to find, but once I show you the shortcut to do it here, you'll be able to just pull it automatically into Excel without having to go find it again. So the first thing that I would do is actually just go to Google, the regular Google, not Google Finance, but just go to Google and then just type in historic stock prices, and then pick a ticker. I'm just going to use Microsoft. And so it'll come up with that. But then if you scroll down, you can get Google Finance Historical. So you just click right there. And so here's the list. It's the exact same thing that Yahoo used to have, but it's the list of historic prices. You can pick your dates. You can hit update. It'll pull in the data that you need. You're ready to go, right? Download a spreadsheet. And so we're going to do the exact same thing like we used to do with Yahoo, but we're going to have to make a couple little changes. So I'm going to right-click here, copy link address. I'm going to go back to Excel, and I'm going to record a macro so that I can record this pulling in. I can always use it. I'm going to call it Google Historic. And I'm going to go to data. I'm going to pull from text. I'm going to paste. I'm going to open. It's going to take a second. So I want delimited. I'll go next. I'm going to go delimited by comma, because it's a comma separated file. You can see that we have all the data right there. This is for Microsoft. Hit finish. A1 is fine, so I'll leave it in A1. Hit OK. It'll pull the data in. It takes a second because, internet's kind of slow. And then it pulls all the data in. So then I go back to developer, hit stop recording, and that's fine if I just want to keep pulling in Microsoft data over and over again, but I don't. I want to be able to adjust it. So I want to be able to edit my my macro, just in case when you open it, if you get a screen like this or something, hit Control R, and it'll come up with a list of your macros. I have a lot of them. Don't worry about that. Find the one that says Module 1, double click, and it'll come up with the one we just recorded. So you can see here's the URL. And we have this weird CID, which is our company ID, which doesn't make any sense, right? Because I don't know that 358464 means Microsoft, but I can actually switch that. And what I do is, instead of CID, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to do Q for quote equals, and then right now I'm going to substitute MSFT, but we're going to change that to be any ticker in just a second. And so if we look at that, that's our ticker symbol. We have our start date is October 10th of 16. Our end date is October 9th of 17. So what we'll want to do, I'm going to drag this over here, and then I'm going to make this go right there so we can kind of see both at the same time. So that's a little more clear. And so what I want to do is I want to have a start date and an end date. And I can do the same thing like I used to do in Yahoo, where I go like 10/1. 16 for my start, and then 10/1/17 for my end. But when you look at the URL on here, you see October is spelled, instead of the number 10, it actually has the letters OCT. And we can do that in Excel by using the formula text, choosing our date, and then hitting comma, and then in quotes put MMM for 3-letter month. That's what that stands for. Hit enter, and now it gives us OCT for October. Copy that down. They're both October. If I change this to January 1st of 17, you see it changes to Jan for January. So that's all you have to do there. And then we also want the day. So I'm going to put day of that date. Same thing there. and then year of that date, and then same thing there. So now it's a little easier is that I have October 1 of 16 and then October 1 of 17 because those are my dates, and I can plug them in right here as I want. So I'll do S month, S day, and S year, and I'll do equals, let's do sheets, sheet 1 dot cells, and we're in row 1 for our start month, and the month is in column J, which is the 10th column. So I'm going to do cells 1 comma 10, 1 comma 10, and then for S day I'll do the same thing, sheets, sheet 1, cells 1 comma, and then for the day that's in column K, which is 11, and then S year, sheets, sheet 1, cells 1 comma, and the year is in L, which is 12. There we go. So we have start month, start day, start year. I'm going to copy those, so I'm going to hit Control C, paste them, and I'm going to change those to end. So E month, E day, and E year, and those are in the exact same columns, just a different row, so I'll change it to row 2 for all of those. And then we also want to have a ticker, so I'm going to go back to my sheet here, I'll do ticker, and right now we're on MSFT, but we'll change that shortly. So I'm going to make ticker equals, and that's column I, which is column 9, so I'll do sheets, sheet 1 dot cells, row 3, column 9 for I. Great, and then I can go change my URL in the relevant fields. So we have MSFT. We don't want to have MSFT. We want to have whatever ticker we're looking for. So I'm going to do quote and quote, and then between those ands, I'm going to use ticker because that's our variable. Start date for October, 2, 3, quote and quote. Between the ands, this is our start date month, so it's S month. For 10 will be our start date day, so quote and quote. Start day, and then 2016 is our start year, so quote and quote. S year. And then do the exact same thing for the end date, but this with E month, E day, and E year. So quote and quote. E month, quote and quote. E day, and quote and quote. E year. Great. So that should be good for right now. We'll leave it entering into A1. We do want to make sure we clear out old data before we pull in the new data, so I'm going to just do, the very first line will be sheets, well I guess we don't really need that, columns, and then we want A through F, and we don't want to delete it because we want to keep our variables in place, so we just want to clear contents. If we hit delete, it would move our variables over and that would kind of mess up our formulas later on. So we have columns A through F, clear contents, get all our variables, run our stuff, and then that's it, and it'll update. So I'm going to hit run, make sure it works. Well, it pulled that data, but I want to make sure it works for other for other tickers. So I'm going to put Home Depot, which should be around, what, like 200 or 100, something like that right now. Cool, 160. So that's about right for Home Depot. And then let's do Apple, which I think would be 120-ish, maybe 150. 150. There you go. So now we know that that's working just fine. So now we have that. I'm going to do a little cleanup stuff. So in the very beginning of the macro, I'm going to put application.screen updating equals false. And at the end, I'll do application.screen updating equals true. And that'll keep it from updating while I'm running it. Then I'm going to go to date and to close. I'm going to hold control while I click on those. And then do insert a line graph so I can see that. And under developer, I will insert a button so I can run our macro. Hit run. Cool. And then let's try it with a different ticker symbol. So like a company that hasn't done well is Under Armour. So run that. So you can see they went down. This is over the past year. If I change this, so I'll start at, let's do something a little more recent. So that Under Armour had their big drop in February. So let's do 1/15 of 17 till today, and then run it. And so we see their big drop right there. Maybe we don't run it as long, so let's run it till March 31st of 17. So much closer up, but then we see that big drop right there, and then that's just the rest of that time. So that's how you can pull in historic data from Google instead of from Yahoo. It should clear up a lot of those problems. I know a lot of people all over the internet are having problems pulling from Yahoo. So Google should be usable for the foreseeable future. I know Google's really slow to make changes to a lot of their services. So if they start seeing a decline in their traffic, they probably will still take a year or more to make these updates. So I would think that this system should work just fine for the next year or so. If Google starts changing theirs like Yahoo does, then I guess I'll have to make a new video on how to do it from somewhere else. But for now, this should work. So let me know if you have any questions. All right, thanks. Bye.